Guys, what is up? It's been a while since I put out a video, and this is a video I've been trying to get out for the longest time, and I finally got it out. It's not the video I wanted to put out because it doesn't go in depth into what I did, but this is the video on how I built my tire carrier. I will go ahead and preface this by saying this is a one-day build. I was in a huge time crunch when we was trying to go down to Florida, and of course I didn't want to make the trip with no spare because it's a 700-mile trip. Didn't want to get halfway down there and get a flat tire and need a spare, so I needed a spare tire carrier. Didn't have room in the back of the Jeep for a spare tire. The last day I decided to build one. It didn't all go as planned, and it's not the finished product yet. I still have some work to do on it, but I did get to a point where I felt comfortable going on down there and getting the tire carrier put on. What you'll see is the process, part of the process, but it got to be such a time crunch. I had to put the camera down, turn it off, and just start building because I was running out of time. I literally pushed my welder into the garage after the last bead, hit it with some spray paint, got in the Jeep and drove off. And that's not always the best way to do it when you're building something that's could fall off the Jeep and hurt someone or be something you have to go back and fix later. But I will say I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I still got some fine tuning to do. But check out the video. Check out the end, and it'll go to me here in just a few minutes walking you through the tire carrier. So that's kind of where I had to stop building or stop recording and start concentrating on building. So guys, I hope you liked the video. If you do, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll have some more videos coming forward soon of me building stuff for the Jeep. Sometimes very poorly, and sometimes it might turn out pretty good. So guys, I'll see you back in a second. This is the piece of metal that I'm going to base what's going to be mounted to the tub. I'm going to base the tabs and the joints off of. So I'm fixing to go ahead and drill some pilot holes here, and then drill bigger holes that will fit the holes that are already in the tub, and then I'll put a third hole as well for added strength. And of course it'll be backed with a backing plate to give the tub more rigidity. Is that a word? Rigidity? To be more rigid. What the hinge will look like. You can see the bolt holes. I'm going to make this another size up. I believe that's, I can't remember what size that is, but I am going to go one more size up so that I can know it's secured very well to the tub. I obviously haven't welded those tabs yet, but they'll be welded on there. This is a 1/2 inch bolt, which I'm not going to use. I'm going to use a 7/8 inch bolt. These Hinge are 7/8 of an inch Hinge. This is just for mock-up purposes. These tabs I have are half inch holes, so I'm gonna have to drill those out to 7/8. That'll be it. So there'll be two of them, here and here. And then I'll use 1.5 inch quarter wall DOM. I've already got the inserts for it. And then I'll make a frame. I'll mount a tire carrier on it. Give you a better idea of what I'm doing. So as you can see, this is just a mock-up. I haven't prettied these up or cleaned them up yet. I don't even have the right hardware in them yet, but these will be the hinges. It will allow me to, if I want to, go down to a minimal bumper and get rid of that extra overhang on this bumper. Guys, I'm back on the swing out tire carrier, and I don't know if I'm gonna get it done. I've done exactly what I said I would do, and I'm waiting till the last minute to do everything. So I'm trying to do the carrier. I want to make me a nice American flag holder, and I've still got to rotate the tires, but and I've got approximately 24 hours to do it. We leave in about 24 hours. Let me show you what I did. As I talked about earlier, I'm using Hinge joints and these bars that will go across right here and swing. Problem is that I didn't have the adapter, an extra adapter, so I did have this tie rod, this quarter wall, 1.5 inch quarter wall tie rod that had an adapter on both ends. So I cut the tube down there, and you can see where I've welded the tube together right here, and I've already ground down the weld to make it look like it's just one piece of tube. I did sleeve the inside to make sure I got it square, so it's got a sleeve on the inside, and I welded it. So now this will be the top bar, this will be the bottom bar. I got to clean it up, and they'll come across here. You can see the top one's a little bit longer because it'll come out here and it'll have the latch on it. Still haven't figured out what I'm gonna do for a latch, but it will have a latch on it. Now I've got to make a ladder out of these two and mount it up there and see where I've got to adjust. Obviously these Hinges have a little bit of adjustment on them, but when they're in a ladder together, the actual adjustment is on the bolt. So they're not going to be too good. I've got to get it nice and square before I start welding the ladder together. Cut the grass, even when I'm trying to make videos, although at least I don't have to cut the grass. So win-win, lose. Win, lose, win. Wait, lose, win, either way, win-win. All right, guys, this is the setup, kind of how it's going to look. Kind of, I still have some things to do, but the Jeep's a wreck. Still have to clean it out and detail it for the trip. But this is kind of how it's going to be. I'll put a brace here and one here, and then of course there'll be one in the middle for the tire to mount to, middle-ish, probably about right here. And then they'll swing out. This will latch over here. It should work just fine. As long as I get it square, these work fine because these have adjustment, you know, like this on both sides. So as long as I weld it together square, if it's off a 1/4 of an inch, or it won't be off that much, but 1/16 of an inch or something like that, it's not going to be a big deal. Not really sure. I'm kind of winging it, if you can't tell. I'm kind of doing it as I go and just kind of guessing, which you should never do, but that's typically how I do things. So let's see where we go from here. I'll pick it back up in a minute. Here I am. I got the cross piece done, kind of done. It's not welded in. It's not square, obviously, but I lost my 1.5 inch hole saw, so I had to cut these hole cuts. Thing's probably still hot. Let me put on a glove. So you can cut these cuts without a hole saw if you have to. It's not the preferable way to do it, but you can do it with a chop saw. If you think about it, if you just need a 90-degree cut, you just cut 90-degree slices on each end to make it to a point. You're going to have to grind down the points, and then you've got a hole. You need to grind that just a little bit on that side. That side's pretty good. And then they'll be ready to weld up. So I'm going to go ahead and weld that up here in just a second. Just to be clear, you don't have to have a hole saw, although it helps, and I would already be done with this if I had a hole saw. All right, guys, got one end tacked into place. I got this just tacked up with just a piece of metal to just to support that side when I take it off. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to weld the rest of those welds. Then I will figure out what I'm going to do over here. This may be a viable solution over here. And I'll also have another piece right here anyway, supporting the actual tire carrier. So I'm going to take a look at it as I'm building it. But let me get to welding that. I'm not going to videotape that because that's pretty boring. We'll be right back. I'm hoping somebody sees what I did here that makes me into a huge idiot. If anyone figures it out, let me know in the comments. I'm not going to say till the end of the video because I'm going to fix it first. But there is a huge issue that I did that makes me look like an idiot, which I am an idiot for doing it. Let me know if you know what it is. So this is where we're at. Did you think I was talking to you? Yeah. So this is where we're at so far. I still have a lot to do. I still got to figure out the latch situation, and I've got to put some screws in back here, or bolt in back here on the back side, because right now all the bolts are in front of the pivot where all the pressure is, where all the leverage is, and so there's when you put some weight on the end of it, there's some movement right there coming off of that, and I do not like that. It was a bad design on my part. I should have done that to begin with and thought about where the pivot was versus where the fasteners were, but I didn't. Like I said, I'm kind of winging it. We'll fix that, and I'll go ahead and do that now before I do any more on the actual carrier. Better idea of how it's built. So I talked about the two bars. That's pretty simple. 1.5 inch quarter wall DOM, and then I used excess to make these two ladders right here, these two rungs. You saw how I used a chop saw to cut out for the notches. I had this old mount that came off of a moving trailer I used to have that held a tire carrier. You can see where the U-bolts went through, and it already had the spindle on it. So I went ahead and welded that on, and you can see how I welded it to the bar here, and then I welded it down here to the bar as well. So it's on very solid. It's welded on both sides and on the back, on the top and bottom. When I put the spindle on, I don't know why I didn't realize it, but I thought it was a 5 on 4.5, as most trailers are. Our old moving trailer used to be, I guess, a 5 on 5.5, and so the spindle didn't work. So I'd already welded it on at that point, and that was just me being in a rush, being in a hurry, and not doing things right. So what I had to do, this tube actually wasn't the original tube. It was a much smaller solid bar stock tube. So I had to cut that, cut the spindle off, and this piece that this adapter is bolted to, and that's the adapter for my JK wheel. So this is a 5 on 4.5 lug pattern adapted to this lug pattern is 5 on 5, what the JKs are. So this is now 5 on 4.5. So I was able to change it by putting this sleeve over it and welding this piece. And I got that piece from my old Dana 35 axle that I had in my garage, luckily. And I just cut it off. Put this, this is a 2 inch, 2.5 inch, 2 1/4 inch, I think, maybe quarter wall piece. And so I put that on there and welded it. And then I put the end of this axle that I'd cut off onto it and welded it as well. So now I have a 5 on 4.5, and it is as solid as can be. I could easily sit on that and it wouldn't even budge. The one thing I am going to have to do, probably, I didn't really measure it out well enough. I measured it out based on that stock tire, and I'm obviously going to have a 35 on here, which should be fine because I'm going to have a lot less back spacing. But I may have to run a spacer on here for the 5 on 4.5 when I put it on pretty soon. But it works flawlessly. We went to Florida and back, and it did not move a bit. It didn't jiggle, it didn't rattle, it didn't do anything. And I'll show you how I did the latch, because I ran out of complete time and I had no time to go to Granger or anywhere else and get a latch. So what I did was I found this piece of a channel. This is actually a piece of rectangle. I cut the end out, and it's the perfect size for that to slide up in. And so I drilled 4 holes in the body and bolted up there with 4 bolts. And now I threaded this bottom part so that bolt goes through and screws in. I'm going to put a T-handle on this bolt to make it unscrew easy and screw in easy. And then I got to move my antenna. I know, guys, you just pull that out and bam, it opens. So when you want to put it back, you just slide it, and it just slides up in there. So that holds it both from an up and down standpoint and locks it in place. You just put the bolt back through and screw it down. It works perfect. So as you can see, it opens easily, very easily. And it is just, I mean, even with the tire on there, it still opens this easily. And this extra part here that I didn't even mean to have works as a perfect handle. It fits up flush to the bumpers, the stock bumpers that I put back on. And the good thing is that when the tire's on it and it's open all the way, well, it can anyway because of the nuts up here, but the tire rests perfectly against that fender. So it sits about right there when it's fully open. I've got basically all my weight on it right now, which I weigh 250, and I was all the way out the end. It didn't bend a bit. Didn't flex, didn't come off the body or nothing. So I'm extremely happy with it. So here's my future plans, guys. I'm going to pretty this up. I'm going to round it off. I'm going to get a T-handle on that bolt so that it goes in nice and easy. It can't get any more snug, and it won't pull out. So I like that. That's the way I'm going to do that. I'm just going to pretty it up. I'm going to put a coat of paint on it, another coat. It just has some satin black on it right now. I'm going to tape everything off and put some probably gloss black on it. I'm going to potentially put another rung right here just because I want it to be symmetrical. That's pretty much it. I'm going to put the 35-inch tire up there and let it ride. I'll update if I see any deficiencies or weaknesses. I couldn't be more happy right now with it, considering I did this in a day. So this is my one-day build. And of course I'll cap the ends here, make it pretty, round off some of the edges where there's some sharp edges. So guys, that's it. That is my tire carrier that I've talked about for a long time making. If you see something I did completely wrong, let me know. I mean, I'm open for suggestion. But right now, I like it so much better than anything built off the bumper. There's no flex there. It's got 2 attachment points that are strong as can be, and it's easy as pie to open and close, and it's strong. It's super strong. So we'll see, guys. If you have any questions, ask them. If you like what you see, hit the like button. If you want to see more, because there will be more coming up, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.